Let's discuss all of this with Harry Litman, former U.S. Attorney and Deputy Assistant Attorney General, and Page Pate, Criminal Defense Attorney and Constitutional Law Attorney in Georgia. Harry, let me start with you. Of course, the committee wants to talk to Ivanka. She was there at critical points. But the idea that they want her to tell them why President Trump didn't feel the need to try to save the lives of police officers and lawmakers as this bloody attack was going down. I mean, don't we sort of already know it's because he didn't care and he was sort of excited, as the reporting says, watching this bloody attack on TV? What more can she tell them?
We think so. But, Allison, it's not only why in this case, it's also what. They want to nail down, as Jessica was saying. She's thickly involved here. Before, during, and after. She's in the call when Trump says Pence is a wimp who doesn't have the courage to make a decision here. She's in the infamous 183 minutes when he's doing nothing. And she's after, and this is an important point, when he's being told, says the committee, by the White House counsel, that the stop the steal stuff needs to stop because it's all wrong factually. So she paints not just his state of mind, but really the what. And that was the same. If you saw the subpoena document request that they successfully got from the Supreme Court yesterday, they are first about getting a narrative of everything he did and who he is trying to pressure, etc. I think they will draw their own conclusions, as will the American people, about the why. But they've got a lot more what to pursue.
Paige, is there any distinction between Ivanka Trump and, let's say, General Kellogg, who's also in the room? Any protection she would have or credibly could claim if she decides to resist this request?
Well, Victor, I would be very surprised if she didn't claim some sort of executive privilege here. Obviously, not only is she the daughter of the former president, but she was serving as a White House advisor at the time. I think by issuing this letter, by issuing this request, the committee is effectively saying we want her to cooperate, but we're not going to go forward with a subpoena. We're not going to try to force her hand, because then we'll have to litigate this executive privilege issue against a witness we would prefer not to. So she will probably not agree to do it, and I think that may be the end of getting her testimony in front of the committee.
Paige, I want to stick with you and go to Georgia about what the DA there is now doing in asking for a special grand jury, because she says that the investigation into the phone call between President Trump and the Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, and all of the phone calls, in fact, that President Trump was trying to call and trying to find votes that didn't exist. She's saying that I think the Secretary of State has been reluctant to appear without a subpoena, as well as other important witnesses. So what will change now if this request is granted?
Well, Allison, it's not common in Georgia to have a special grand jury. Most cases go in front of a regular grand jury. You present witnesses. If you're the DA, maybe present some documents, and then you ask them, vote up or down on the case. Do you indict? Do you not indict? A special grand jury in Georgia is more like an investigative grand jury. They can subpoena witnesses, they can subpoena documents, and they can take their time, which is really not the case with a regular grand jury. So what I think has happened here, Fani Willis, who I've known for over 10 years, very diligent prosecutor, she's been investigating this case now for over a year, but she's gotten to a dead end. She has witnesses now that she can't get to testify, and the only way to do that is to get them in front of a grand jury. Now, this grand jury will not decide whether to bring an indictment or not. That will be another grand jury after the investigative grand jury has completed its work.
Harry, the DA only references Brad Raffensperger, the Secretary of State here, but we know that Senator Lindsey Graham made calls to Georgia officials after the election. B.J. Pak, who was the U.S. Attorney for Atlanta, who eventually resigned because he thought he was about to be fired in reaction to the president's dissatisfaction with Georgia officials' handling of the election. Should we expect, although they were not named in this letter, that they too could be called in front of this special grand jury, or is that a different process?
No, we should. It's the same process, and as Page says, it permits a kind of longitudinal investigation of the sort that you have in the federal system. One point to make, the Raffenspergers of the world might not be recalcitrant witnesses. A lot of people just want the subpoena to be able to show to Trump or whomever, hey, I didn't have a choice, I had to go there. I'm actually surprised she hasn't asked for it sooner. But the case is clean and discreet, and for that reason I think it's dangerous to Trump, particularly so because it all centers around the call, and they've got the audio tape of the call, which is very unusual. But yes, I think you can expect her to call different people into the grand jury and for them to do an overall investigation, as Page says. That's what they're doing. They'll then take that corpus of evidence to whatever grand jury is sitting for 2 months and turn to them and say, would you return this indictment that we recommend, if that's where they wind up.
Okay, Page Pate, Harry Litman, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
President Biden.